It's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, the 2010 film.
Tanner.
That'd be me.
Tanner picked that movie, yes. Tell us about
Let me
it.
give you guys a little rundown of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Ah.
So, I'm trying to... How does this movie open? We just see Percy, he's doing shit?
He's sitting at the bottom of a pool.
That's... Okay. No, okay, you jog my memory. I can give this fucking rundown now. It starts out with Zeus and Poseidon are arguing. They're like, hey, the bolt is gone, and there's no more lightning in the world, and your fucking son stole it, and he has to give it back, or I'll kill everyone. Then we're introduced to Percy. Percy is autistic. He has ADHD and dyslexia, and a gimp leg, I think. He's best friends with Grover, a man who has the name of a dog, and he uses crutches. They go on a school trip where they are then attacked by the substitute teacher who is actually a demon. And then Percy is like, what the fuck? And then Grover, takes Percy and his mom to to the woods where they get attacked by a Minotaur. The Minotaur then disintegrates his mother right in front of him, and he's not that sad about it. They then discover that they're at this place called Camp Half-Blood, which sounds like a slur, but isn't. It's a place for demigods, the children of the half-human children of the Greek gods, and Percy is the son of Poseidon. And he finds out about the lightning being stolen, and he's being blamed, and he's like, well, I gotta fix that, I guess. And so he starts training, and then Hades shows up, and he's like, hey, I have your mom. And he's like, fuck. And then they decide to go on a little quest to save his mom. They have to get some pearls. They go find Medusa. They find the Hydra. And then this place called the Lair of the Lotus Eaters, and they get a pearl that will let them escape from Hades. And then they go to Hades, which is in Hollywood, which, was... That's some real commentary right there, ain't it? They go down into Hades, they get to Hades' lair, and he's like, hey, I didn't steal the lightning bolt, and can I fuck your wife? Can I have my mom back? And Hades is like, no, I'm very obviously evil, fuck you. And it turns out the lightning bolt was hidden in Percy's shield that he got from this guy named Luke that I forgot to mention. Let's see, Hades gets knocked out, they get the bolt, they escape from Hades, from Tartarus. Wait, what's the underworld? Hades. The guy and the underworld are both called Hades, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So they escape from Hades in two different ways, except for Grover, who has to stay and fuck Rosario Dawson, which, good for him, am I right? Then they go to Olympus, and Luke is like, hey, what the fuck? I had this horrible plan that has now gone awry, and I have to kill you. Percy and Luke fight. Percy very clearly kills Luke, but I guess not. And then he returns the lightning bolt, and everything's A-OK. The end. And then here's my haiku as inspired by Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
A haiku?
Uh-huh. Zeus's lightning gone. Percy and friends on a quest. She's so hot, goddamn.
Huh.
What did you guys think of this movie?
Well, you see, as a little boy tyke, I loved the Percy Jackson books. And when I went and watched this movie for the first time in theaters, I was clutching my popcorn with so much glee, just sipping on my soda, ready to watch Percy on the big screen. And I'll tell you what, this is the very first time in my life where I watched a movie and I was like, hang on a second. You can be disappointed with a movie?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy this one very much back then, and even now, even setting the books aside, I don't remember a ton from them at this point, but just this entire movie is just so insanely fast paced. They're just jumping from place to place here. We just really don't have much time to really explore these characters whatsoever and develop them in any sort of meaningful way. It just ends up leaving them pretty one-dimensional for the most part, and I don't know, a lot of the CGI isn't amazing. It's fine enough for the time, but other times it's ooh, that doesn't look very good. I don't like that very much. Ooh, gross. And also the fight scenes aren't all that great. I don't know. This film just overall is not fantastic, I would say,
Yeah. And there's so many plot holes. oodles and oodles of plot, and like I know nothing about the books, and so like while we were watching the movie, I was constantly just like, you know, spotting things where I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense if they did this? And then I would ask that to Nico, and he'd be like, yeah, they did that in the book. I'm like, okay. Just so like even I, as someone who didn't know this series, I could spot shit and be like, well, if this was a book, they probably would have done this differently because that would make more sense. And then Nico would back me up and be like, yeah, they did do that in the book because it makes more sense. Like, okay, well.
Like, you know, in the book, they have a lot more time to, like, really flesh things out and make things, like, you know, more cohesive.
Yeah, but some of the decisions don't even make sense. Like, the fact they make it, like, what, 2 weeks he has to do the thing?
Yeah.
Whereas you said in the book, it's, like, several months. This, like, we are not watching 2 weeks in real time anyway, so what is the point of shortening the time scale for the movie?
To make it more dramatic.
Yeah, sure.
Which, like, you know, I feel like that's, like, the kind of, like, the entire point of, like, the lair of the Lotus Eaters or whatever, to be like, oh, by the way, you have no more time left, you've wasted it all.
Exactly, like, it's a bit contrived, but yeah, I'd say my two biggest complaints are it's way too fast-paced, like Nico said, and it's really sloppy world-building.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of shit just does not make sense when they tell you about it. You're like, huh? What? They're doing that? Why? Huh? Okay.
How are all these monsters around and no one seems to notice? What the fuck is going on here? Which is explained in the books, by the way. All that shit is explained.
I think the biggest issue is when you try to adapt anything from one point to another. Obviously, if you get it in a book form, people understand that reading takes a while, but I think anytime something tries to be taken from a book interpretation to a movie interpretation or game interpretation, whatever, they trim off so much, and it's because they don't want to make a god-awful long movie that nobody's going to want to sit through, and breaking it up into parts just seems unrealistic, and they don't believe that they'd be able to get a part 2 out of it.
Well, there's always going to be something lost in translation there with that sort of transition there, and you need to, like, figure out, like, okay, so all this shit worked as a book. How do we, like, you know, obviously we can't do all this shit now because, like, you know, it's not a book anymore. We have a movie. It's significantly shorter. We don't have anywhere near as much time. So they need to figure out something to, like, you know, change up the story to actually make it fit this new medium that it's in. But a lot of times that's hard to do. Yeah. So they just don't really bother very much. Like, okay, well, here are, like, the important parts from the book. Let's just do all of these, throw them in the movie. People recognize them. There you go. You got the thing from the book, but now it's on the big screen. Aren't you excited? Don't you like that? And no, people generally do not like that very much.
And one thing I will say, I was going to say this for the last movie as well. I believe at this point, the Raid Redemption has tainted my view on movies. And tainted, I mean in the more positive tone, where I'm viewing all of these fight scenes now, and Nico made that comment during the review, and now I watch these movies, I'm like, God, these fight scenes just, they don't look good at all. And not even from, like, I mean, you know, Percy Jackson, I can 100% say the fight scenes were terrible, like, they were extremely, anyway.
Yeah,
but
a lot of things, like, with the sword fights, especially, like, it really, really stands out in, like, at the very end of the movie when it's, like, the panning shot out of Percy and the girl sword fighting.
Yes.
Just her very obviously, like, how slowly they're fucking going because, like, clearly they decide to have the actors do it. And, like, her doing these big spins where she's, like, exposing her full back with her sword out in front of her to him. And it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that part in particular, I think that was what I was trying to get at. It was, like, I guess basically pulling your punches, I guess. And, you know, I guess, like, I get it when you have weapons in movies, you gotta kind of do that, but there are props you can make look realistic, where if you whack somebody with it, it's not gonna do damage.
Well, yeah, presumably these all would have been, like, wooden or, you know, rubber swords or plastic or whatever the fuck.
But, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely with Nico, where I'm more of on the train when I was a younger kid. I liked this movie, I enjoyed watching this movie, I liked anything sci-fi, mythical, all that stuff. Coming back to it, there were nostalgia bits, but unfortunately, there was a lot, like, the acting wasn't great. The part where his mom died, or, like, the Minotaur took his mom's soul, and his reaction was basically just like,
oh my god.
And then I'm like, say something. Like, he didn't even say anything, and I'm like, God, that's just...
Yeah, like in a good movie, you imagine him be like, Mom!
Yeah, so it's just unreal. Like, I don't know, it's just there's unrealistic bits of this, and I think the only reason I viewed this movie in any positive light is because I know a decent bit about, Greek mythology, and I enjoy the lore and all that stuff of that realm, but, like, I can't let that carry this movie. So, it was an okay movie. I still enjoy it. I think it's a fun watch, but not as good as I remember it.
I think it's just really basic, is the thing. It's, like, so... Like, when you think of, like, what your average run-of-the-mill book adaptation is, I would say this is that.
100%.
This is like, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but I will say also, like, Percy is lame and boring.
Yeah.
In this movie, at least. I'm sure he's, like, cool in the books or whatever. In this movie, he's nothing.
Yeah, 100% agree.
He has no character traits I can really think of. I wouldn't say he's, like, he's not particularly charming or skillful or kind or brave or he's just, here's a protagonist,
he's existing.
Yeah, I 100% think they just picked him because, like, he resembles Percy enough. Let's go with him. Right, yeah.
They are...
and also, this movie has, like... I said this about Blade, that it's like a proto-superhero film. This movie has, like, proto-Marvel dialogue. Like, it's just... And I don't mean, like, compared to, like, the Marvel movies coming out at the time that this one. I mean, like, what we think of Marvel dialogue now. Where it's like, did I just do that with my frickin' mind? Holy cow. The quippy stuff, but, like, the bad quips that you hear in every movie over and over again. I'd say that was strewn throughout this one.
Yeah.
Like, what did... Oh my gosh, what was that one line? When Percy... what was it? What was the context of Percy being like, that was freaking awesome? I know that, I remember that being a lot. I don't remember the context, but, like, shit like that is what I'm talking about.
I want to remember, but I can't.
Yeah.
Jackson, how about you, though? You haven't really said anything about this one.
There's nothing to fucking say about this movie. It about put me to sleep when I was watching it.
Damn.
I could tell.
I was so insanely uninvested in this movie. Honestly, I think this might be one of the least exciting movies we've ever seen.
Damn.
On the podcast.
Well, now, hang on a second, dude.
Not get crazy.
Like, we watched The Beast of Yucca Flats, alright?
We sure did.
I did. I fell asleep. I don't know. I fell asleep to Skinamarink like 3 times, so...
That at least had, like, a vision, Like, it was trying to push some boundaries a little bit. This one's, like, so fucking bog standard.
Antoinette, what did you think? Aren't you a big fan of the books, too?
I mean, yeah, like, I'm a really big fan of, like, Greek mythology, but this movie was shit. I mean, literally, the facial expressions, shit. The fucking mom is, like, not even doing anything. I need her to be out of the fucking movie. She's pointless.
She's his motivation. She's the MacGuffin.
Percy, this gross slob.
The only good thing about this movie that I really fucking like is Grover.
Okay.
And
that's fair.
Persephone, because she's fucking hot. That's it. Other than that, I don't really care.
I can agree with that. I agree. Grover is a fun character. I do like it. Out of our trio, Grover is far and away the best.
Disagree. Alexandra Daddario is a downright hottie, so...
Dude, she doesn't contribute anything to the story.
She doesn't, but she's fun to look at, and that's why she's here.
This did spark a question that I thought of at the end of the movie that probably means nothing at the end of the day. Why does the mom know so much about how to get to Olympus and all that when after the child is born, they're supposed to cut off contact? And then also, why is she able to enter the elevator but not exit the elevator but still be able to physically see Olympus? Like, I would think that mortals shouldn't even be able to see Olympus, but maybe that's just me.
Stop thinking about it.
All great questions.
Yeah. None are explored in the film. They're explored in the books. Go read the books if you're wondering about these things. Yeah. As for our ratings, though, Dylan, how'd you rank it?
I thought it was alright. I gave it a B.
Whoa. Jackson, how about you?
C-.
That's fucking crazy. Dude, there are like a shitload of flies just like crowding around my window for some reason.
Like outside or inside?
They're outside of it, and they're just crowding around. They really want in.
They want Mochi. We're gonna pick him up and carry him away.
No. I'll give this a fucking C, I guess.
There we go.
I'm going C+.
Wow.
C.
How do I still manage to be the highest on this movie, even without the high rating? That's crazy.
It's just how you do, man.
I guess so.
Unsurprisingly, that puts it at a solid C+ overall.
Let's go.
Whoa.
Farming those dream check marks, let's go.